Well, my journey with theater began when I was in the 6th grade. My dad had always talked about how he was in shows when he was younger, and so it kind of inspired me to give it a try.
I started off when I was little, like a singer, just strictly singing, like in church and things like that.
When I was starting, I just really let myself go broke to do theater.
I've been doing theater forever. I grew up in a musical household.
I started as an actor, as everyone does, I think, who gets into it. And I did acting. I'm always just a loud child.
I found my passion in performing like any other kid, watching musicals, being exposed to musicals.
My journey started in 4th grade. I was going into 5th grade and I was in this summer camp.
Like most creative journeys, it makes absolutely no sense and came in no particular order.
Much better. Good. Great. So much better. 1,000%.
My name is Allie Lewis. I'm a senior at Mercy McCauley High School, and I'm a performer and a composer. I think I'm on my 12th show here at Mercy McCauley, and it's just so much fun. I really love being at an all-girls school when it comes to theater because it's nice to have girls around me who also have the same passion for the same thing, and we really support each other. And I feel like sometimes there's a lot of shows that don't have female characters, and so getting to highlight female shows is really special, and I get to do it with my friends. I think my most memorable experience when it comes to theater is actually working on a show that I wrote. In the midst of doing all of these shows at my schools, I've also developed a really strong love for composing music and writing shows because I love theater so much, and getting to write a show and produce it and direct it and compose the music and sharing it with others was such an incredible experience because I got to see how my crazy ideas and simple stories really brought joy to other people's worlds. So I think that had to have been the most memorable experience because it showed me that this is something I want to be a part of for the rest of my life.
There has to, I don't think so, not just the 3. I mean...
Hi, my name is Lydia Wright. I'm a singer, actor, dancer, just performer. I grew up watching so many shows with my parents, and we went to like the children's theater and we would watch live theater. We had season tickets, and my family just loved the art, but no one really was involved in it. I've had so many great experiences with people over the years, so it's been great having to meet these people who help you grow up more as a person. I had a voice coach, and he was such a gift. He sadly passed earlier last year, and there's just not enough words to describe what he meant to me. Now when I perform, I think of him, and so he really just had an impact on how I see the theater, and so he's been really a big part of that. Every show experience is so different, and every theater experience, whether it's like a show or just being on stage or in a rehearsal, is just, you learn more about yourself and other people.
I think high school theater is super important for the education of young adults because it's a way to express your voice and your feelings. I feel like for a lot of kids who are younger, finding that art form or that passion that makes your heart really beat, that is something really hard to find. So having theater as an option for high schoolers helps them explore a route that maybe they wouldn't have been able to find if it weren't for the school that they were attending.
I think theater is such a big part of high school education because high school is such a formative time for a lot of people. You can be whoever you want, and it's a great place to figure out who you want to be. by trying all these new things with all these people who are also just like you.
I just might be stronger than... Wait, no.
My name is Ariel Mary Ann, and I am an actor. I am a theater reviewer. I am a improver, a mentor, and a all-around theater kid. Currently victorious. I was really happy when I got this one. It stars black folk on stage. Oh, this is when I reviewed Annie. I love this one. This is a classic. Oh, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. This one I'm not super familiar with. I did not have the experience of being able to audition for my school play. Theater was not really pushed in high school or middle school for me. I really felt like a fish that was just floundering about, and I really didn't have a way or a guide, if you will. I was a senior in high school, and I did a Shakespeare show through Cincy Shakes, and that was my really my first time getting to work on a show, getting to act, and I realized I love this, and I have to keep pursuing it. I have to find a way to keep doing this thing. I got to assistant direct Kinky Boots with Cincinnati Music Theater, which is a local community theater, and it was my first time ever getting to work on a musical, and it had a very, very big impact on me, and there were so many blessings that I got to experience when working on that project. I love collecting playbills because I love learning about the history of shows. You can see where the world was in that moment. High, sweetie, raise it to the sky.
My name's Alaska Stoughton. I live here in Cincinnati now, but I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. I'm a little bit of everything. I choreograph. I've done a lot of choreography recently. And I'm an actor and a singer and a dancer, and I teach dance. So I just grew up doing that, and I grew up doing church pageants, and then found my way to community theater and was like, I love this. I just love feeling emotions from people in the audience. There's like a moment sometimes when you're playing a character that you can feel the audience feel the way you want them to, and that is so gratifying because sometimes you're hit with this wave of hatred or of sadness. I feel like community theater plays a role outside of just the professional sphere and just making money. Community theater is so important because not everybody can go to school. Not everybody is lucky enough to have the opportunity to go to school, and so sometimes people's only interaction with theater is community theater. I think a lot of us in the industry tend to forget that we got our start in community theater. It is a big disservice from the entire theater sphere when community theater is kind of looked down on. No matter where theater takes you, community theater is the anchor that pulls us all in. It is a safe space for a lot of people who have felt pushed to the margins of society.
Way. Yes! Go!
Register shifts. Oh, that's my thing. And it's not needed because it's so like heavy and light. I work too hard. I am Erin Morton. I am from Jackson, Mississippi, and I am a musical theater major here at University of Cincinnati. High school was when I was first introduced to musical theater. Mississippi is not like a huge musical theater scene. It's not a huge theater scene. What really pulled me in was the community that I had. I feel like I never felt the family sense that you get from like doing theater and things like that. And after that, I just started auditioning in high school, like over and over again for like any plays, any like musicals. I was kind of on the edge of like whether or not I should do it for like a life thing, just because like in Mississippi and, you know, in general, like a lot of families are like, you don't do like arts and stuff for your career. I knew that musical theater was like what I wanted to do. So I took a gap year and I got with this program that taught like a lot about musical theater, and like they helped fund the musical theater auditioning experience because it's so expensive. And they were able to help me with like audition coaches, audition material, and like being able to travel. And I was able to audition for a lot of programs, and I happened to audition for CCM and got in, and it has been a dream truly to like just be here and like dive into something like this. And I think that every year it just shows me more and more how much I love to do this. And I know that's cliche, but it's like the truth. It's just how I feel. Like I feel so like at peace and like at home with like doing this as my career. Being a Black woman specifically in this industry, it is very hard. Especially when you are surrounded by like other peers that don't look like you, that don't think the same as you, that don't have the same lifestyle as you. It can be very difficult in many ways.
So, can you just sing? They say times are hard for dreamers. Just do that phrase for me.
They say times are hard for dreamers.
Can you give me a ba 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 ba? My name is Sarah Folsom, and I am an assistant professor of musical theater, a voice specialist at CCM. I started as a child in church with musical parents. My mom was a music minister for many years, so I grew up standing at the front of a Baptist church and singing for everyone. You know, I knew that there were two possible paths to being a professional vocal artist. And at the time, I thought those options were church music or opera. And I was like, well, I don't know if the world is ready for queer Amy Grant, so we're gonna be an opera singer. My passion and my focus was always musical theater and vocal habilitation, helping people recover from vocal issues and injuries. After I finished my master's degree here at CCM in voice performance, I had learned so much vocally, but I felt pulled in a different direction. And so then when this position became available at CCM, I was like, well, that'd be kind of cool, full circle moment. The times of my life when I have just been performing, I have felt sad and lonely. And at the times of my life that I've just been teaching, I have felt antsy. And I've really discovered I have to do both. And I'm better at both when I'm doing both. I know not everybody feels that way, but that's always been the case for me.
I think what's really important about student theater is that we are trying to get to a more inclusive community. It can be very hard to go into the industry sometimes and like see that like there's no one that looks like you and there's no one that looks like these other like different unique people, and just feel like you don't have a place in it.
I am so inspired by my students and clients, and I learn with them. I like to think of it as a partnership, you know? As much as I am professing toward them, I am also partnering with them, and we're kind of a team.
Coming in, I had no training, no vocal training, no acting training, anything like that. You feel like you're behind, or you feel like you can't live up to everyone else, and that's just not the truth. We've had so many teachers here that have like just really pushed that out of us.
I want to hear what their goals are, and then I want to partner with them to help them achieve those goals and help them to find success in their art in a sustainable way that is consistent with their personhood.
Student theater just allows us to start creating that community for ourselves. I think that the only way that this industry will change is if we do something about it.
The way that
Yes.
I'm Billy Chase, and I'm an actor with the Actors Equity Association. And I've been an ensemble member with Cincinnati Shakespeare Company, Cincy Shakes, for about 18 years. When I was starting, I just really let myself go broke to do theater. I went to George Mason University that had a professional theater that a lot of the professors were part of it, and they used the space, and that was really cool. Sometimes you were like, how come they're doing their show in our space? I wanted to, but sometimes you'd have the opportunity to be in that show, and that was my first professional production of a show called Nathan the Wise. And I did find work at like a local dinner theater, you know, that paid, and you're like, oh, well, I'm already getting paid to do it, so maybe I don't even need to finish. But I did eventually. When I joined the company, I was very lucky because it was like a tighter ensemble, and I joined as a touring company member, and we were also in the main stage shows. My badge of honor is having been in, I think this is my current production of Macbeth, is my 93rd production with the company. And I've done 34 Shakespeares of the 38 with the company, so that was a privilege and an honor. So I call this like the Navy SEALs of Shakespeare.
My name is Bridget Leak, and I'm the producing artistic director at the No Theater. In high school was like when I had like my first audition, and it was mostly just a way to hang out with people. They were like, hey, are you staying after for the auditions? I was like, yeah, totally. And then was gonna go to college for theater, and did a lot of acting, got some really big roles in college. And then this weird thing happened where I went from being hyper aware on stage to being hyper self-conscious. It also coincided with me taking my first directing class. I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I taught in France for a year, came back to the States, worked in DC for a year, then was like, great, let's apply to grad school. And I got into the actor studio at Pace University for directing, freelance for 3 years, and then moved to Cincinnati for the directing fellowship at Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. Moved to Cincinnati, and I was like, oh, life is just easier. The cost of living is lower. And I was like, this is a place where I can afford to make my monthly rent. I can afford my monthly bills, and then I can make theater my free time and make money doing theater. We're living in Cincinnati and have been freelance directing this entire time. But when the opportunity came to run a theater, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's run this theater. All I do all day, every day, is think about how I lead and what this organization is. And I think that the No's identity has always changed with the artistic director. I think that's sort of natural, but I think the identity has massively shifted and somehow always stayed the same. We're always been the smallest professional theater in town, and I think we've always done a lot with very little. And so I think that allows us to do plays that no one else can do or wants to do. And so I think we're really well positioned to be like, we're gonna do this play, it's gonna be a little weird, it might be slightly offensive, but it's going to be a lot of fun, ? And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to capture things that you're not going to see anywhere else.
In this ever-changing world, you know, theater's a great place, always, forever, of having an argument and looking at an antithesis and saying to be or not to be, or, you know, this or that. What do you think, audience?
This is the place where you're going to feel welcome, and you can come as you are, and then you're going to see a play that's going to resonate with you deeply, that's a little weird, that's a little kooky, but it ultimately is about the human experience.
So I'm playing the role of Doralee in 9 to 5, and I am so excited because I get to have a country accent and I get to be a little mini version of Dolly Parton. When I step onto the stage, I just have pure adrenaline. There's something about the lights shining in your face and feeling the gaze of a bunch of eyes on you, and I know that should be terrifying, a bunch of people watching, but there's something special about when you get on stage because you're not yourself. You step into a different world and you just get to be something entirely new.
I'm playing Judy Burnley in 9 to 5 at Mercy Macaulay, and she's just so much fun. When I step out on stage, I feel so alive and real. It's me, but it's not me. It's like playing a game of dress up. It literally is. I feel so empowered, and you take up space. It's like you're there. And I'm still working on that, of being like, you're allowed to do whatever and mess up and try things. When you step on stage, it's like, this is just another shot of doing something new. And I love that.
When I step into the stage, it reminds me of this is why I do it. I feel power. I feel vulnerability. And I'm able to just step full on into this character, whatever that may be.
I feel very nervous before I go onto stage, but then I just remember I know what I'm doing, and I give myself grace, and I allow myself to just feel the character out and be the character, and if something messes up, then it's fine.
It's helped me so much with my confidence and with just being authentic in every room that I'm in. I feel like the vulnerability that it takes to do theater is so hard. I am in the moment. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm doing this for other people, because theater is for other people.
This is how my world gets.
It's funny, you know, sometimes the last thing I want to do is step on stage and be vulnerable and have hundreds of people look back at me. But then when I do, it's the most rewarding thing in the world, because, you know, as a cabaret artist, usually I am performing as myself, not always, but performing as myself and looking out and connecting with people and using the music as a medium to inspire, challenge, heal.
When the shark with his teeth deep, scarlet billows start to spread.
In my theater career, I've had a lot of doubts, a lot of insecurities. I think we all have, of being, am I the right body type? Do I look the right way? Am I too young? Am I too old? You know, am I too loud? Am I whatever?
I know a lot of people who have struggled with like mental health, especially in theater industry, just because it's such a taxing career. You have to continue to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first.
The path is just doing it and knowing that in most cases, no one is going to come and get you. You have to show up at the door and be interested and be humble, and always know that usually in any of these arts where you have to work with other people, that you are a cog in a machine.
There's a lot of pressure that comes with, especially at least for me, needing to be really good or feeling like you need to be the best, and that's just not true. You can mess up and that's okay. I do struggle with like anxiety and depression, and so being able to find a group of people who are willing to accept you in that way, the theater is just such a safe space, I think.
I absolutely have faced doubt and uncertainty in my theater journey. And one of the biggest ways has been due to my transition and me being a Black woman. And so I have many strikes against me in this society. And so I've had to fight through a lot of that worry, that self-doubt, those demons, if you will. And another thing that keeps me going is the young people who are coming up after me, who are finding their ways in theater. And in particular, the Black trans youth who are finding their way in the arts. And anytime I see, young people performing on stage, it reminds me that this is why I do what I do, so that I can, give them a space to find themselves, to be themselves.
I do think there's a lot of unknowns. I think that we're in that period of the great unknowns, and I think it instills a lot of fear. And what I'm trying to do is, how do we I mean, that's not going away. So how can this theater be a place where you feel safe and where it feels a little less scary?
I also view theater as kind of like a church in a way, because I mean it is. It's people, they congregate and, you know, witness a story, and it's really, I think it's a special thing. Theater, you know, seeing like real people up on stage, trying to create, manufacture real moments in time, you know, throughout any given story or given circumstances. It's just a special thing.
I think my future definitely involves theater. I think my career in theater will have to do more with the music composition side of it, because I love writing stories and I love writing songs. And so if I can figure out how to do that for the rest of my life and keep making stories that can bring joy to others, that would be the absolute dream.
But I want to see more from the theater community, inclusivity, diversity, and not only with people, but with the shows. There are not a lot of different shows out right now, and I think that there's so many stories that people are writing, that people are creating, that aren't being showcased.
I see myself continuing in the theater world. Love to continue performing for like as long as I can and see where that leads.
What I want to see from the future of theater is a push away from making theater through the lens of whiteness, quite frankly. If it is truly for everyone, then how do we show that?
I sometimes feel like we can't find a middle ground. I feel like it's the swinging pendulum of we have to make money, so we have to do shows that our donors want to see, or, you know, who do they want cast in it? Can we cast somebody new, or are they going to like them? Whether it should be, who am I casting that's right for the show? What shows are we picking that are going to challenge our audience members or our viewers or our subscribers?
I think that a lot of people outside of the world of theater don't understand that ticket sales don't, I mean, it's like a spray bottle at a forest fire. I mean, you know, that's just a tiny piece of the income that theaters need to continue to produce inspiring, healing, challenging art.
The world feels like it's on fire, and it is, but like, come and spend some time with us. Help us change just this little storefront. Be a part of this little storefront, and hopefully that'll make you feel better, but also hopefully you feel welcome here and want to be a part of this community.
Theater's not meant for just one specific type of person. It's meant for everybody. And I think theater's all about embodying love and acceptance, and going that route in the future, I think it would be really important.